Hello, and welcome back to Camera West TV. My name is Carlo, and today we're going to learn a photo technique called panning. Panning, or motion blur, is a photography technique that uses long exposure to exaggerate movement by moving the camera at the same speed as your subject. Now I know what you're thinking, aren't long exposures generally for night photography? And wouldn't I need a tripod? The short answer is yes. If you're familiar with any long exposure techniques, you generally would need a tripod for them. But the nice thing about panning is that you can do it day or night, and all you need is your camera and a wide angle lens. To achieve this effect, you want to set your ISO to the lowest setting. 50 or 100 is perfect, but if your camera doesn't go that low, 200 or 400 will work. Next, you need to drop your shutter speed to 1/15 of a second or slower. The slower the shutter speed, the more exaggerated the motion blur will be. And lastly, you want to close down your aperture, and anything past f8 or f11 is ideal, and this will cut the amount of light coming into your camera, resulting in the correct exposure. Now, these are just base settings, and they'll depend on the lighting conditions of your environment. If you're using a digital camera, you can experiment with different exposures to get the effect that you're looking for. Ideally, a camera or lens with autofocus will make focusing much easier, but if you're using a manual focus lens like we are today, you can preset your focus according to the scene or where your subject's at. We're here in downtown San Francisco. Let's go take what we learned in the studio and try it out. Our goal for today is to photograph buses, cars, and subjects that are human sized, so cyclists and pedestrians. Different sized subjects will make for different effects. So let's see what we can get today. It's pretty bright outside. We're kind of in some mixed lighting conditions where it's a little shady, but it's pretty bright where our subjects will go through. So we're gonna try our base settings and see how that turns out. So we're gonna go f8, and we'll do 15th of a second, and let's do 100 ISO. So we'll see how that goes. Since it's really bright outside, our base settings aren't gonna work here, so this is where you can play around and try and get different effects. So we're gonna stop down even lower to f16, and then we'll maybe do it to about a 30th of a second and see what we get. Sometimes waiting around makes for the best photos. So this time it was a little dark, but we'll try brightening it up by dropping the shutter speed again. Looks like we got our settings locked in. Exposure's looking good, so let's go walk around and get some more photos. So it's really important that when you're walking around in mixed lighting conditions that you check your settings. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with a lot of overexposed or underexposed photos. You could fix it in post, but it's better to just get it right out of the camera. Less work for you. So it's really key that when you're shooting at a lower shutter speed, that you keep your body as still as you can. Otherwise, you get unnecessary shake. That can make your photos not sharp, or it could just result in motion blur that you don't want. It's really difficult, but you gotta keep practicing with it. Busy intersections are usually the best places for this. You can really just photograph anything with practice. It's definitely much easier to photograph larger subjects like cars and buses. It makes it easier to lock your focus in on. With people, it's a little hard to gauge their speed, so you're gonna have to take a couple to get that one right. Oh, you can also try it with birds. Shooting at f16 has been helping me lock focus easier. That's just because the depth of field is so great. A lot of things in your focal plane will be in focus. You still have to kind of eyeball your focus, but that extra reach will help you. The key to a good panning photo really comes down to sharp focus and dramatic motion blur. The effect can greatly be impacted by where you are relative to your subject and how slow your shutter speed is. All it takes is a lot of practice. This is Carlo from Camera West TV. See you next time.